Hey there, awesome viewers. Welcome back to Manhwa Empire Recap. Before we dive into today's recap, we want to hear from you. Drop your favorite genre of manhwa or manga in the comments below, and let us know where you're watching from. Your feedback helps us bring you the content you love. Now, let's jump into today's recap and explore the incredible stories we have for you.
In the bustling city of Korean, chaos reigns supreme. Flames dance wildly, erupting from buildings, lighting up the night sky with their fierce glow. Explosions rock the streets, sending shockwaves through the air, leaving chaos in their wake. Military helicopters swarm overhead, their blades slicing through the tumultuous atmosphere, a beacon of order amidst the pandemonium below. Citizens flee in panic, seeking refuge from the turmoil that has engulfed their once tranquil city. With each passing moment, the chaos intensifies, threatening to consume everything in its path. In a world overrun by monstrous creatures known as zombies, humanity finds itself under siege. Unable to escape the relentless danger, humans are bitten by these ravenous beings, driven by an insatiable thirst for attack. With each bite, the dormant monster within them awakens, unleashing chaos upon the world. Swarmed by hordes of zombies, escape seems futile. The government issues a stern warning, urging citizens to remain indoors, guarding against the relentless onslaught outside. Meanwhile, the military and the leaders of Korea stand resolute, determined to combat the zombie menace and reclaim their once peaceful land. With courage and determination, they face the undead horde, fighting tooth and nail to restore order and safeguard their people from the nightmarish terror that has befallen them. Amidst the chaos of battle, uncertainty looms large as humans clash with monstrous creatures. In the heat of the conflict, a voice rises, urging others to target the zombies' heads for a chance at victory. The relentless undead horde draws nearer, driven by a relentless hunger for human flesh. For those caught in the fray, it's a catastrophe of epic proportions. Armed with his trusty knife, the protagonist slashes through the zombie horde, aiming for their heads with precision. Determined to rid the world of the undead menace, he presses on with unwavering resolve. Beside him, his companion grumbles about the abundance of zombies in their path. Ignoring the complaints, the protagonist urges his companion to join the fight without hesitation, emphasizing the need to act swiftly without wasting time on grievances. With every strike, they move closer to their goal, united in their mission to eliminate the zombie threat once and for all. In the midst of chaos, survivors cling to hope, exerting every ounce of strength to endure. Among them, a man fights fiercely, driven by a fierce desire to survive. With an axe in hand, he swings with all his might, striking down a zombie poised to attack. The creature topples to the ground, vanquished by his determination. His resolve to protect himself and his companions shines through, evident in every decisive blow. Together, they stand united, pooling their strength to defy the odds and persevere in the face of adversity. Amidst the chaos of battle, a lone soldier struggles, his anguish evident. Tears stream down his face as he pleads for his life. But his cries fall on deaf ears as the transformation takes hold, turning him into a zombie, now a threat to his comrades. With a heavy heart, his fellow soldier recognizes the danger and makes the agonizing decision to end his friend's suffering with a single shot to the head. Bewildered by the turn of events, he contemplates his next move, grappling with the harsh reality of their situation. Gripping his gun tightly, he stands firm, his determination to survive etched on his face. Amidst the turmoil, one thought consumes him: escape. He knows he must endure, clinging to his humanity amidst the hellish landscape overrun by the undead. On a rainy night, with the heavens weeping relentlessly, Kim Sungjin, a researcher from the Ministry of Defense, found himself standing before a towering building. Inside, the atmosphere was quiet, almost suffocatingly so. Nervousness made sweat bead on his forehead as he approached the entrance, his eyes darting to the security cameras that scrutinized his every move. Kim Sungjin raised his hands in submission as two guards approached, thoroughly patting him down before allowing him entry. With a creak, the heavy door swung open, revealing a scene that made his heart race. Inside, amidst the swirling smoke, Kim's eyes fell upon three figures of immense power and influence. there was Professor Han Suk-tae, known as the president's brain, his intellect revered across the nation. Captain Hae Yang-yeon, the president's right-hand man, stood tall and resolute. And then there was Minister Yoon Jun-yeol, the enigmatic kingmaker, whose machinations had shaped the very fabric of government. As Kim Sung-jin stood in their presence, he couldn't help but feel a sense of privilege tinged with apprehension. These were the architects of the nation's destiny, and he was but a humble researcher in their midst. Yet, as he contemplated his situation, he knew that this encounter held the potential to change everything. As the tension in the room mounted, one man urged them to commence, prompting Mr. Kim to affirm his readiness. With a nod, Mr. Kim launched into his briefing, recounting the origins of the crisis that had unfolded on July 3rd. It began with a chilling discovery made by a Coast Guard in Siakcho, an encounter with a vessel in a restricted area that culminated in a brutal attack on the investigating team. Midway through his exposition, Mr. Kim was interrupted by Captain Hae Yang-yeon, who implored him to skip ahead to the crucial evidence, a video that held the key to understanding the gravity of the situation. Adjusting his glasses nervously, Mr. Kim acquiesced, producing a remote control to summon the damning footage. With a click, the screen flickered to life, illuminating the room with its grim contents. Minister Yoon Jun-yeol recoiled in shock, his eyes widening at the horrors unfolding before him. The trio watched in disbelief as the footage revealed the unthinkable, a swarm of zombies, a nightmare made flesh, originating from the ill-fated vessel 82-08. 3 months ago, in a bustling restaurant, the air was thick with the jubilant chatter of a celebration honoring those who had enlisted in the armed forces. Tables were adorned with delicious feasts, the aroma of savory dishes filling the room. Amidst the festivities, a customer raised their hand, catching the attention of a waitress. With a nod of acknowledgement, she made her way over, ready to fulfill their request for a refreshing ginger ale. However, the joyous atmosphere was abruptly shattered as the television mounted on the wall blared out breaking news. A collective gasp rippled through the restaurant as the report detailed a catastrophic explosion in the borderlands of Russia. The scale of the devastation was staggering, with flames engulfing neighboring areas in its wake. At another table in the restaurant, a man poured a drink for his companion, expressing gratitude for the gesture. One man, called Hyung, was questioned by his friend about why they had chosen to enlist in the army. Amidst the group's lively conversation and drinks, a customer requested someone to move, disrupting their enjoyment. Meanwhile, at a nearby table, another customer expressed annoyance at rowdy gangsters and contemplated teaching them a lesson, but was dissuaded by her friend, citing Jinwoo's enlistment in the army that day. Jokes were made about causing trouble to prevent Jinwoo's enlistment, but were quickly dismissed, as it would affect others' chances of joining as well. Annoyed by the jest, the friend asserted that such a scenario couldn't be allowed to happen. Remarks from friends about the less glamorous aspects of army life, like cleaning toilets, caused further annoyance and disbelief, particularly as they were eating. Amidst the lively atmosphere, the music of Pink Punch filled the air, capturing everyone's attention. Jinwoo couldn't contain his emotions, tears streaming down his face as he watched his idol Tara perform. Meanwhile, his friends debated over which singer was prettier. As the argument continued, one friend playfully grabbed another, asking about his preferences, only to be interrupted by their other friend who suggested liking both. But their focus was soon diverted by a commotion at a nearby table. A waitress was being scolded by a gangster, demanding payment for spilled food and emotional distress. Feeling helpless, the waitress looked on anxiously as the gangster taunted her. The gangster grabbed the waitress' hand and asked him to sit beside him instead. Suddenly, a man from another table intervened, grabbing the gangster's hand to stop him. Despite his serious demeanor, the gangster retaliated, striking the man with a slap and questioning his actions. Undeterred, the man delivered a decisive blow to the gangster, leaving him incapacitated. As the situation escalated, the gangster's companions called for reinforcements, while the man's friends hesitated, unsure whether to intervene. Though one friend thought that Bo was skilled in Taekwondo, they questioned if he could handle the gang alone. Amidst the escalating tension, the man they called Hyung stepped in, urging everyone to cease their conflict, recognizing the futility and humiliation of fighting over a trivial matter. With resolve, Hyung shed his coat, preparing for confrontation. Approaching Bo, he declared it was time for retribution. Locked in a tense standoff, Hyung demanded Bo's final words, to which Bo defiantly responded with a vulgar retort before launching an attack. However, Bo was caught off guard as Hyung skillfully evaded his strike and seized control of the situation. With a swift motion, Hyung subdued Bo, pinning him to the ground and preparing to deliver a decisive blow. Yet, in a surprising turn, Bo managed to break free, leaving Hyung momentarily stunned. As the confrontation intensified, both men prepared for the next exchange, each determined to emerge victorious. Just as tensions peaked, the sound of police sirens pierced the air, prompting Hyung and his companions to hastily depart, leaving behind a warning for Bo. Despite the confrontation's violent turn, Bo's friends rallied around him, ensuring his well-being as they made their exit. Outside, the gangsters retreated in the car, Hyung leaving with a vow of retribution should their paths cross again. Under the blazing sun outside the defense ministry, four friends shared a heartfelt embrace, bidding farewell to Jin-woo as he embarked on his military duties. Amidst their farewells, they made a pact to reunite for an ocean trip during Jin-woo's breaks from service, teasing him about treating him to the adventure. Grinning with anticipation, Jin-woo eagerly agreed, promising to join them for a beach excursion upon his return. However, fate had other plans. 3 months later, on the coastline near Siakcho, a ghostly ship drifted ominously across the horizon, its decks devoid of life. 3 days before Jin-woo's scheduled break, an unidentified vessel loomed on the horizon, disregarding warnings from the Korean Marine Police about trespassing into restricted waters. After repeated warnings, the captain was summoned to negotiate with the authorities. As the ship, bearing the ominous label 82-08, entered the scene, it heralded the beginning of a descent into chaos and despair that would grip the world in its end. With no response from ship 82-08, a Marine sought guidance from their captain, proposing to seize the vessel. The captain opted to follow protocol, initiating a search as the first step. Anchors were lowered and attempts were made to secure a passage to the other ship. Once aboard, the search team issued warnings before commencing their mission. Fully equipped with protective gear and firearms, the Marine search teams began their thorough investigation. After one Marine reported finding nothing aboard the vessel, they were ordered to conduct a thorough search, including the underground compartments. Despite complaints about the heat and workload, one Marine decided to remove his protective gear and pressed on with the search. Inside the vessel's depths, he made a startling discovery that left him speechless. Asked about his findings, he hesitated before being interrupted. Suddenly, his attention was drawn to something unusual, and he investigated further with his flashlight. To his horror, he came face to face with a monstrous creature lurking in the shadows. His scream alerted his companions, who rushed to his aid only to be met with the same shocking sight. Amidst the chaos, the Marine's cry rang out, alerting his companions to his distress. Rushing to his aid, they were horrified by the scene before them. Together, they managed to lift him, their minds racing with confusion and concern. As they lifted him, they were met with the sight of blood, further adding to their alarm. Uncertain of what to do next, they were paralyzed by fear and indecision. Meanwhile, the zombie continued its relentless attack, its victim pleading for assistance. In a moment of bravery, Jin-woo intervened, taking aim with his gun. With a swift punch, he forced the zombie to release its grip, but the damage was already done. As the injured Marine grimaced in pain, Jin-woo approached, offering a reassuring inquiry about his well-being. In agony, the wounded Marine clutched his injured face, grappling with the pain. They swiftly relayed the harrowing encounter to headquarters, describing the monstrous creature they faced and requesting authorization to use their firearms. As the creature's rage intensified, its bloodthirsty gaze fixated on the Marine, filling him with disbelief. With the ship's lights piercing the night, the Marine found himself locked in a deadly standoff with the creature. Without warning, the creature launched its attack, poised to sink its teeth into its prey. Just as the Marine braced for the inevitable, a gunshot rang out, silencing the creature for good. Stunned by the turn of events, the Marine's comrade checked on his well-being. Relaying the details to headquarters, the Marine acknowledged firing the fatal shot, prepared to provide a full report upon their return. As the injured Marine, Sergeant Kim, received treatment, the others debated how to report the incident. His wound deep, Sergeant Kim's condition worsened, his eyes red and his thirst for blood evident. Jin-woo urged them to return to the ship and prepare medical assistance. But as they awaited treatment, Sergeant Kim's demeanor changed dramatically. His eyes glowed with aggression, and he launched a sudden attack on his fellow Marines. Confusion reigned among the others as they struggled to comprehend his inexplicable behavior and fend off his relentless assault. In the present moment, Mr. Kim revealed the Seoul content captured by the soldier's body cam. Captain Hae Yangian sought details about the ship. Dr. Kim explained it was an unregistered vessel, likely drifted ashore with moderate damage. The captain puzzled over the possibility of mobility with only half a body, questioning its humanity. Dr. Kim affirmed its human origin, citing findings from the National Forensic Service, emphasizing the need to monitor hemoglobin levels. Captain Hae Yangian requested a simpler explanation, interrupting Dr. Kim's scientific discourse. Dr. Kim simplified, revealing the creature doesn't breathe oxygen. The captain was startled by this revelation. Professor Han Suk-tae saw opportunity for profit, proposing harvesting organs if they can understand the cause. Both agreed on the potential fortune this discovery held. Captain Hae Yangian voiced concern about potential damage, questioning their readiness. Dr. Kim acknowledged the risk, stressing the need for preparation due to contagion concerns. The captain asked about the assumed contact range. Dr. Kim suggested transmission through enzymes and bacteria from carrier saliva entering another's bloodstream, though specifics remained uncertain. Minister Yoon Jun-yeol clarified that contagion occurs through deep bites, weaker than AIDS in spreadability. He queried about the reverse scenario. Captain Hae Yangian sought clarification on what he meant by opposite. Minister Yoon Jun-yeol explained the consequences if humans bite or consume these creatures. Dr. Kim admitted the research didn't cover that aspect, angering Minister Yoon Jun-yeol, who insisted they should have investigated. Captain Hae Yangian attempted to defuse the tension, asking about the experiment's duration. He inquired if they could receive a report within the week. Dr. Kim, feeling pressured, reluctantly agreed to submit a report within the week. Dr. Kim then demonstrated something on his smartwatch, directing their attention to the wall. A red beam of light appeared, startling Captain Hae Yangian, who looked back in disbelief. They were shocked by what they saw: zombies, infected soldiers, ready to attack. Aggressive and bloodthirsty, these zombies lurked on the walls, poised to strike. The trio stood frozen, unable to move or speak. Dr. Kim reassured them, explaining the thick acrylic glass and low oxygen levels in the room. Professor Han Suk-tae remarked on the oxygen level, noting it was half of Seoul's, yet they could move freely without it. He also mentioned zombies don't feel pain. Captain Hae Yangian observed that zombies possess all the traits to live but lack intelligence, crucial for soldiers. He wondered if zombies could use guns, to which Dr. Kim replied negatively. Captain Hae Yangian noted their tactical value despite their inability to shoot, citing military simulations. Dr. Kim presented their study, showing infection rates in a modern city with no prior knowledge of the creatures: 2% infected within 24 hours, 17% in 2 days, and 34% by the third day in small cities. Minister Yoon Jun-yeol asked about the results in a megacity. Dr. Kim ran the simulation, revealing a steeper increase: 47%, 64%, and 70% infected. He attributed this to two main reasons. In a small town bustling with 50 people, the density was a stark contrast to the vastness of the land. Their daily mobility averaged at 20 kilometers per day, highlighting the constant movement within the community. Captain Hae Yangian sought Minister Yoon Jun-yeol's opinion on the strategic viability of their situation, pondering the potential benefits and drawbacks. Professor Han Suk-tae emphasized the staggering loss incurred by losing half the population to the zombie threat before even engaging in warfare, warning of the distractions it would pose to strategic planning. Minister Yoon Jun-yeol considered the possibility of leveraging the zombie threat as a strategic asset, potentially surpassing the destructive power of nuclear weapons. Turning their attention to the weaknesses of the zombies, Captain Hae Yang-in queried Dr. Kim, who explained their lack of response to stimuli and imperviousness to wounds. Discovering that the zombies became inactive in extreme cold, Captain Hae Yang-in speculated on the possibility of controlling them through temperature manipulation, surprising Dr. Kim with the idea. However, Dr. Kim hesitated, mindful of the risks posed by the contagious nature of the zombie virus and the ethical considerations involved. Captain Hae Yang-in's unexpected offer of 2 years and financial support left Dr. Kim bewildered, but he knew he couldn't let this opportunity slip away. As they rode through the rainy streets in an armored car, Dr. Kim questioned his decision, but reminded himself of the rare chance before him. Suddenly, the convoy came to a halt, catching Dr. Kim and the driver off guard. Their confusion turned to alarm as 2 black cars surrounded them, and a man emerged, calmly smoking a cigarette in the rain. Identifying himself as Kang Min-gu from Man-Dae Group No. 3, the man urged them to expedite their mission, casting a shadow of uncertainty over Dr. Kim's newfound journey. As rain pattered against the window, Jin-woo sat in his quiet room, penning a letter to his friends. A cherished photo of their camaraderie lay on the table, evoking fond memories. Reflecting on past adventures, Jin-woo recalled the times they stood by each other through thick and thin. A smile crossed his lips as he imagined his friends' antics and quirks. Curiosity gnawed at him, wondering how they were faring without him. With pride, Jin-woo shared his recent promotion as a special grade shooter, recounting a remarkable achievement in front of his commanding officer. Completing his letter, he promised to share more stories during their next vacation. Beside him lay his favorite magazine, a token of his love for Pink Punch and memories shared with his friends. With a sense of longing, Jin-woo folded the letter, eager to reconnect with his companions and share the joys of friendship once again. In the midst of a rain-soaked ambush, the truck carrying Dr. Kim and the zombies fell under attack by 2 menacing black cars. Concerned, Dr. Kim questioned the driver about the sudden stop, only to learn of a tire obstruction. As the driver investigated with a flashlight, he stumbled upon a suspicious vehicle arresting net, raising his suspicions of foul play. Before he could react, a sudden blow from behind left him incapacitated, revealing the presence of a ruthless gang. With ruthless efficiency, the gang swiftly overwhelmed the security team, launching a brutal assault. Amidst the chaos, the gangsters targeted vital points, ensuring the security team couldn't reach their weapons. As panic set in, the security team scrambled for backup while preparing to defend themselves. Tragically, one guard fell victim to a knife attack, while the gang's leader delivered a devastating blow to the security team leader. With their leader incapacitated, the security team fought back, unleashing a barrage of gunfire against the encroaching gangsters in a desperate bid for survival. Amidst the rain and darkness, the gang leader boldly approached, using the fallen security team leader as a shield against the gunfire. Witnessing this audacious act, the security team was stunned into silence. Meanwhile, the boss of the Man-Dae Group, observing from the safety of his car, commended Min-gu's fearlessness and agility in dodging bullets. His bodyguard questioned the boss's personal involvement in the matter, prompting a discussion about Chairman Hwang of the Taeyang Group. Chairman Hwang, a formidable figure in South Korea's business world, had instructed the Man-Dae Group to secure the item inside the truck at all costs. As the boss emphasized the importance of following orders and collecting payment, his bodyguard couldn't shake the significance of the task assigned by the emperor of the business world. In the dimly lit truck, Min-gu received news from one of his gangsters that they had secured the vehicle. Eager to examine the cargo, Min-gu approached the truck with caution, recognizing its significance. However, the gangsters faced a challenge. The truck was password protected, and they had eliminated all potential sources of information. Reluctant to risk exposure by transferring the cargo, Min-gu considered their options. Suddenly, a revelation, the presence of an unexpected passenger, Dr. Kim, hiding in the truck. Trembling with fear, Dr. Kim pleaded for his life, claiming ignorance of the truck's contents. Demanding answers, Ming-gu confronted Dr. Kim, revealing his affiliation with the Defense Research Institute. Desperate to retrieve the cargo, Ming-gu pressured Dr. Kim for the password. Despite Dr. Kim's insistence that he lacked the necessary clearance, Ming-gu resorted to violence, inflicting pain and demanding compliance. With no other recourse, Dr. Kim reluctantly divulged the password 6-0-1-8-6-4 under duress. As tension mounted, Ming-gu ordered a gangster to open the truck's door, eager to uncover the secrets within. Amidst the tension, the boss's voice pierced through the commotion, demanding an explanation for the delay. As he approached, questioning their readiness, Ming-gu intervened, preventing the gangster from addressing the boss disrespectfully. Silenced by Ming-gu's authority, the gangster refrained from speaking out. Meanwhile, the second boss made his presence known, a rare occurrence indicating the severity of the situation. Surprised by the second boss's arrival, the gangsters speculated about the significance of his appearance. They acknowledged his tendency to emerge only in perilous circumstances, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. Approaching the truck, the second boss contemplated the cargo's importance, given the involvement of national intelligence services. Determined to uncover the truth, he resolved to inspect the contents, driven by the knowledge of Chairman Huang's interest. As the second boss swung open the door, a wave of icy air spilled forth, engulfing the surroundings in its chilling embrace. As the second boss ventured inside, he felt a distinct chill in the air, prompting him to wonder if the space resembled a freezer. Using his phone as a makeshift flashlight, he eagerly illuminated the dark interior, his curiosity piqued about what lay within. His eyes widened in astonishment at the sight that greeted him, an unexpected revelation lurking in the shadows. He beheld the figure of a soldier, seemingly lifeless and prone, lying in the dimness of the compartment. Upon closer inspection, the second boss discerned the unmistakable features of a corpse, confirming his initial suspicion. His gaze shifted to the other boxes, his mind racing with apprehension, pondering if they too concealed corpse within. Stunned into silence, he stood transfixed, his eyes locked on the rows of freezers, each one holding its own chilling secret. Determined to unravel the mystery further, he resolved to delve deeper into the contents of the freezers. Lost in thought, he mulled over the peculiar cargo and Chairman Huang's involvement. He concluded that it wasn't just any ordinary corpse that they were transporting. As he glanced once more at the frozen zombies, he couldn't help but wonder about the origins of their bite marks, shuddering at their unrecognizable features. However, his contemplation was interrupted by a knock on the door, signaling him to hasten his inspection. Inside the truck, the second boss commanded the gang members to hold their horses and wait patiently while he determined which item to retrieve. Ignoring their complaints, he pressed on with his search, his frustration mounting. As he ventured deeper into the truck, he stumbled upon a shocking sight. An upright, monster-like creature greeted him with a menacing growl. Taken aback by its unexpected presence, he realized that this was no ordinary corpse. The creature, displaying aggression in its demeanor, began to advance towards him, prompting the second boss to brace himself for what could be a perilous encounter. Realizing that it wasn't just a typical corpse, the second boss speculated if it was some advanced form of cryogenic technology. Before he could ponder further, a zombie lunged at him, catching him off guard. Swiftly evading the attack, he prepared to retaliate. With a swift and powerful punch, he struck the zombie's head, sending it crashing to the ground, incapacitated. Blood dripped from the wound as the boss stood over the fallen creature, assessing his handiwork. Satisfied with his skillful maneuver, he proudly proclaimed his identity as Choi Sung-ho, the second in command of the formidable Man-Bay group. As his attention was diverted, another zombie seized the opportunity to sink its teeth into his leg. Enraged, the creature clung to him fiercely. Reacting quickly, he struggled to push the zombie away, desperation evident in his actions. But his efforts were in vain as yet another zombie lurched towards him, poised to strike. Fear gripped him as he faced the imminent threat, uncertainty clouding his mind. Outside the truck, the rain continued to pour relentlessly, adding to the tension in the air. One of the gangsters, growing impatient, questioned Ming-gu about the delay and suggested checking on the second boss. However, Minggu advised against it, urging them to avoid causing any further trouble. Suddenly, a loud shout echoed from inside the truck, grabbing everyone's attention. Minggu's gaze snapped towards the vehicle, his concern evident. The gangsters, worried for Choi Sung-ho's safety, hurriedly raised the truck's door to check on him. As they opened the door, a rush of cold air greeted them, sending shivers down their spines. To their astonishment, they found their second boss under attack by zombies, their jaws clenched in terror at the sight. As chaos erupted inside the truck, one brave gangster leaped into action to save his boss. With a swift and powerful kick, he fended off one of the zombies, determined to protect his comrades. Gripping his knife tightly, he lunged forward, striking at the heart of the undead menace. As the zombie fell to the ground, lifeless, he believed the threat was neutralized and called for his fellow gangsters to assist in rescuing the second boss. However, they stood frozen in shock, unsure of what to do next. Frustrated, the brave man demanded to know why they remained idle, unaware that another zombie was creeping up behind him, ready to sink its teeth into his flesh. With a sudden, agonizing pain, he felt the zombie's bite pierce his neck deeply, blood gushing from the wound. Despite his valiant efforts, he realized the zombie was relentless, unaffected by his attacks on its vital points. As darkness closed in around him, he succumbed to his injuries, his eyes slowly fluttering shut. Meanwhile, the other gangsters watched in horror, paralyzed by the unexpected turn of events unfolding before them. In the midst of the chaos, more zombies emerged, prompting Minggu to order his comrades to arm themselves. Recalling Choi Sung-ho's unfortunate fate, Minggu pondered the identity of these zombies and concluded that they posed a threat to their organization, leaving him with no choice but to confront them head-on. As one of the zombies lunged from the truck and attacked another gang member, the rest of the group brandished their baseball bats, ready to defend themselves. With Minggu leading the charge, they launched a counterattack against the undead assailants. Despite their efforts, one gang member fell victim to the zombies' ferocious assault, its hunger for flesh evident as it tore into his throat. Horrified by the gruesome scene unfolding before him, Minggu took decisive action, swiftly beheading the zombie with a well-aimed strike from his knife. As the lifeless body slumped to the ground, a sense of relief washed over the group, knowing they had prevailed against the relentless threat. Determined to eliminate the threat, Minggu braced himself for the impending onslaught. Suddenly, a fellow gang member alerted him to a zombie sneaking up from behind. Reacting swiftly, Minggu turned to face the approaching undead, narrowly evading its grasp. As he confronted the two zombies before him, Minggu couldn't help but marvel at their resilience despite being stabbed multiple times. Undeterred, he launched a series of attacks, questioning the nature of these seemingly unstoppable creatures. With each blow he delivered, the zombies rose again, frustrating Minggu to no end. Despite his disbelief, Minggu couldn't help but let out a nervous laugh, unsure of how to combat these relentless opponents. Intrigued by the zombies' resilience, Minggu realized that fighting them with a knife was futile. Pondering their origins, he recalled beheading one of the zombies earlier. With this revelation, he understood that targeting their heads was the key to defeating them. Steadfast in his resolve, Minggu approached the nearest zombie, aiming for its head. As he plunged his knife into its chest, the zombie's eyes widened in response. Determination etched on his face, Minggu drove the knife deeper, determined to end the threat. Reflecting on his narrow escape, Minggu realized the importance of timing in such perilous situations. Resting his hand on the road, Minggu regained his stance. With swift reflexes, he sidestepped the zombie's lunge, causing it to lose balance and fall. The unexpected move caught the zombie off guard. As the zombie struggled to rise, Minggu stood up, eyeing it warily. Despite its broken bones, the zombie persisted, advancing for another attack. Undeterred, Minggu pressed on with his plan, delivering a powerful kick to the zombie. Though momentarily incapacitated, the zombie remained alive. Determined to end the threat, Minggu swiftly decapitated the zombie. In that moment, he realized the key to defeating them, targeting their heads or beheading them. Minggu cautiously approached the fallen zombie, retrieving his buried knife. Suddenly, another zombie lunged at him. Reacting swiftly, he dodged the attack and countered with a kick to the zombie's leg, sending it sprawling to the ground. Tightening his grip on the knife, he glanced at the fallen zombie, realizing their relentless nature despite their fallen comrades. The zombie rose to its feet, locking eyes with Minggu. Suddenly, Minggu swung the tube, striking the zombie and sending it tumbling to the ground. Despite the blow, the zombie growled angrily, refusing to yield. As it attempted to rise again, Minggu swiftly attacked once more, forcing its face onto the road and stomping on its head. Minggu commanded sternly to the zombie to choose who he should be loyal to. Despite Minggu's assault, the zombie struggled to escape, seemingly indifferent to the pain. With determination, Minggu prepared to deliver the final blow, raising his hand with the tube. However, before he could strike, someone intervened. Startled, Minggu turned towards the source of the interruption, momentarily blinded by the headlights of an approaching car. The boss halted Minggu's plan to exterminate all the zombies, insisting that at least one must remain intact to receive payment. Deep in thought, Minggu pondered his next move, tightening his grip on the pipe. Meanwhile, the other gang members discussed the nature of the creatures they encountered, one of them having been bitten. The boss's voice snapped him back to reality, seeking his response. Minggu retorted that the boss could handle the zombie, opting to take his gang members with him. Irritated by Minggu's response, the boss questioned his disrespectful tone. Ignoring the boss's inquiry, Minggu departed. Initially annoyed, the boss soon found himself impressed by Minggu's strength and determination. The group's focus shifted to the incapacitated zombie, which they planned to present to Chairman Huang. The zombie resisted, growling loudly as they tied it up and secured it in a box. They likened it to a rabid dog rather than a human. With the zombie restrained, they closed the box and placed it in the trunk of a car. Concerned about Director Choi's condition, one of the gang members informed the boss that he was still unconscious, likely due to blood loss. The boss ordered them to take Choi to the hospital. Once assured that the zombie was safely contained, the boss bid farewell, instructing them to clean up the aftermath. The car then departed, leaving behind the events of the encounter. Amidst the aftermath, one gang member voiced his disappointment to the boss, prompting Minggu to inquire why. He pointed out the loss of their comrades and criticized the boss's focus on money. Minggu urged him not to take it personally and directed the cleanup process, including moving the bodies into the car and the remaining debris into the truck for disposal. The gang member nodded in understanding. To uplift their spirits, Minggu suggested they gather with the surviving members later for soju and prayers. Tearfully, the gang member couldn't believe Minggu's words. Suddenly, another gang member called out, revealing that one of their comrades was still alive. The gang member who was presumed dead approached them swiftly, surprising one of the gang. He called out the zombie's name as Day-Sik. Minggu felt skeptical, noticing the suspicious movements. Despite this, another member ran towards Day-Sik, embracing him with joy at his survival. They decided to take him to the hospital. However, Minggu grew alarmed and shouted for him to stay away from Day-Sik. Confused with Minggu's instruction, Chil-sung just stared. Day-Sik approached him from behind and was bitten. Panic ensued as they realized what had happened. Minggu intervened, kicking the zombie away from the bitten member. That made the zombie more furious. It rose again, preparing for another assault. At that moment, Minggu had an epiphany. His bitten comrade had turned into a zombie. He questioned why the infection was spreading. Meanwhile, the zombie stood before him, poised to strike at any moment. Deep in thought, one gang member voiced concerns about the zombies. He informed Minggu that the deceased were rising again, now as zombies, slowly approaching them. This revelation left them stunned. As the zombies drew closer, they pondered the nature of these creatures. Minggu, too, weighed the severity of their dilemma. The zombies growled loudly, ready to strike. All their former comrades, once thought dead, now advanced as zombies, posing a threat. They stood there, stunned, facing the advancing zombies, unsure of what to do. Minggu quickly directed them to the car, urging them to leave. They ran towards the vehicle, but Minggu realized the zombies outnumbered them. One member called out to Minggu, offering a getaway car. Minggu instructed everyone to leave immediately. However, one member was swamped by zombies, begging for help. As they hesitated, they witnessed their comrade's transformation into a zombie. Knowing there was no saving him, Minggu ordered to start the car and leave. The car sped away from the scene, but some zombies blocked their path. The driver hit the zombies, sending them flying. Fear gripped the driver as they tried to escape. However, one zombie remained stuck on the windshield, threatening to break through. Its gaze locked onto the people inside the car. With a sudden attack, the zombie shattered the glass. Minggu urged his gang member to drive faster. Despite their efforts, the zombie clung to the car, refusing to let go. It reached inside, grabbing the driver's head. Minggu, alarmed by the imminent danger, instructed his gang member to steer away from crashing into a building. Realizing it was too late, Minggu braced for impact, grateful for his seatbelt. The car crashed into the building, flames threatening to erupt. Fire spread rapidly. Regaining consciousness amidst the flames, Minggu found himself surrounded. Thankfully, the airbag had softened the blow. Ahead, the zombie was consumed by fire. Pain shot through his arm, and he wondered if it was broken. Determined to escape, he struggled out of the car, fleeing from the impending explosion. Hearing a loud bang, Minggu glanced back to see flames engulfing the car. Continuing to walk away, he spotted zombies in the distance, closing in. Realizing he had no choice but to fight, he searched for his knife. Recalling he left it in a zombie's chest, he braced himself for a long night, determined to survive. At Gangsu purification plant, the night was deep and silence enveloped the surroundings. Suddenly, an alarm pierced the stillness. Someone pondered why the alarm sounded at 3:30 a.m. Lim Soo-young, a researcher at the plant, stood from her bed, concerned about a potential issue with the purification system. Hurriedly, she ventured outside to investigate. There, she encountered a guard and inquired about the alarm, wondering if it was related to the purification system. The guard dismissed her concerns, mentioning an issue near the guard wall. The guard pointed to the wall where smoke billowed, indicating a car had crashed into it. Soo-young followed his gesture, asking if it was a severe accident. He assured her they were investigating. Soo-young remained fixated on the smoke, feeling anxious. From afar, they spotted a person attempting to climb over the wall, prompting the guard to warn him against entering. Suspecting the driver was drunk, the man successfully crossed and prepared to leap over to the other side. As he jumped, his face sank into the ground. Soo-young bid farewell to the guard and headed back to bed, reassured by his words. Suddenly, they both turned at the sound of commotion. The man rose, striking down the two guards and arming himself with a wooden weapon. Soo-young and the guard realized the man was not drunk as he incapacitated the guards. As the man stood firm, the guard moved in, cautioning him to stay back or face the gun. But the man kept coming. The guard repeated his warning, aiming the gun. It became clear the man was Minggu, who struck the guard as he advanced. Soo-young was shocked and frightened, covering her mouth with her hands. Minggu's bloodied face showed his determination to survive. Soo-young hesitated, debating whether to flee. Summoning her courage, she bolted away from Minggu. Glancing back, she saw him in pursuit. Spotting a door in the distance, she made a beeline for it. Reaching the door, she swung it open and darted inside, slamming it shut behind her. She fumbled for the locks, desperate to secure them. But before she could, Minggu reached the door, pushing against it with all his might. He grunted in pain, struggling to force his way inside. Soo-young strained to shut the door, but Minggu wedged it open with a stick. Outside, he reasoned with her, warning that they'd both perish if she didn't let him in. To Minggu, facing death was preferable to encountering zombies. He assured Soo-young that he wouldn't harm her if she unlocked the door, leaving her torn with indecision. Finally, he pledged to shield her from the approaching zombies. Soo-young, skeptical of Minggu's words, questioned his sanity, citing his attack on the guards. With a helping hand, Minggu rose to his feet, explaining that her trust was irrelevant. While he waited for her decision, Soo-young was alarmed by the approaching zombies. Minggu insisted she had no choice but to open the door. Acting swiftly, they secured the door just as the zombies closed in, narrowly avoiding disaster. In the kitchen, Soo-young queried Minggu about the nature of the zombies. Minggu, wrapping a bandage around his arm, confessed he didn't know, teasingly calling it a sight for sore eyes. Annoyed, Soo-young rebuffed the joke, reminding him of the seriousness of their situation. Minggu mentioned it was his first encounter with the zombies that day. Nearly finished with his bandage, he asked for Soo-jung's assistance. As she helped, he remarked on the relentlessness of the zombies, stating they never give up. He added that even if they hide, the zombies wouldn't disappear, no matter how much time elapsed. Minggu pondered their predicament, eyeing the available knife as their only weapon. He reached for one, his gaze focused. Soo-young watched silently, lost in her own thoughts. Soo-jung's sudden movement caught Minggu's eye, leaving him curious about her intentions. Wondering, he asked where she was headed. She replied that she planned to go to the watchguard office to call the police. Minggu disagreed with Soo-jung's idea, sparking her frustration. She questioned his motives, asking if he was a criminal. In response, Minggu approached her and explained the dire consequences of calling the police. If the officers were bitten, their numbers would increase. Soo-young, feeling anxious, suggested they explain the situation to the police beforehand. Minggu's grin widened at Soo-jung's response. He explained that telling the police about the monsters emerging from a freezer and the risk of turning into one if bitten would be unbelievable. Annoyed, Soo-young demanded to know what they should do next. As they stood there, a loud crash echoed through the air. Soo-young, filled with concern, questioned the source of the noise and speculated if the front door had been breached. Minggu, taking charge, strode off to investigate, reassuring her that it couldn't be the front door since it was made of glass, and they would have heard the metal hinges breaking before the glass shattered. Minggu swiftly retrieved his stick weapon and inquired if there were any areas on the first floor with unreinforced glass. Soo-young nodded, indicating that the windows at the back were just normal glass. Passing the stick to Soo-young, Minggu encouraged her to take it, sensing her reluctance. Minggu assured Soo-young that he wasn't ordering her to fight, but to have the weapon as a means of buying time to escape if she encountered a zombie. He then proceeded to teach her how to fight, demonstrating the proper way to swing the object towards the target. Despite Soo-jung's reluctance and assertion that she wasn't like Minggu, he still handed her the stick-wood weapon to use. Soo-young was taken aback by his actions, but Minggu advised her that she could stay there if she wanted. As Minggu walked away, Soo-young halted him and expressed her desire to go along. Minggu showed no reaction to her words. Despite their annoyance with each other, they decided to continue the search together. Leaving the kitchen, they pressed on with their exploration. Soo-young noticed something and suggested to Minggu that they take the elevator instead of walking, noticing his difficulty in walking. However, Minggu declined, warning her of the danger. Suddenly, something caught their attention, and Minggu instructed Soo-young to remain silent unless absolutely necessary. Soo-young, determined to follow his instructions, tightly gripped her weapon, ready to fight if needed. Minggu noticed the eerie silence as they climbed the stairs. He observed the flickering sensor and concluded that something was amiss. Continuing cautiously, he attempted to peek around the corner, but unable to reveal himself fully, he used his knife to catch glimpses of any lurking presence in the reflection. Minggu was startled as a zombie leaped in front of him. Minggu, caught off guard, dodged the zombie's reaching hands. Minggu swiftly dodged each attack from the zombie, his movements quick and precise. Minggu's senses heightened as he became alert to his surroundings. With a quick motion, he swung his knife at the zombie. The zombie fell to the ground. He proceeded to kill the zombie, aiming for its neck and head. He stabbed it repeatedly until it stopped moving. Soo-young stood frozen, her eyes wide with shock at what she had just witnessed. With a final stab, the zombie ceased its movements, lying lifeless on the ground. Minggu instructed Soo-young to retreat to the safety of the kitchen, as he don't want Soo-young to get in his way when she will stay with him. Alone, Minggu continued his search. Minggu clutched the knife tightly, relying on it to fend off the zombies. More zombies flooded in through the glass window, signaling a daunting battle ahead for him. Soo-young, frightened and unable to flee further, watched in terror as the zombies appeared out of nowhere, pouring in through the window. Minggu sensed trouble as he found himself in a tight spot on the stairs, his body not in top shape. He opted to relocate to an open space. He sidestepped swiftly to evade the zombie's leap. With a swift motion, he swung his knife aiming for the zombie. But upon inspection, he realized his cut was too shallow. The zombie, still alive, prepared for another attack. 2 more zombies appeared, closing in on Minggu. Minggu pondered a strategy to eliminate the approaching threats. Minggu swiftly aimed at the zombie's legs, slashing with his knife. The zombie's widened eyes betrayed its shock at the blow. Minggu seized the zombie by its neck, pulling it close. With a firm grip, he lifted the struggling creature upward. Suddenly, another zombie approached from the right. Minggu swiftly kicked it down the stairs. The trapped zombie wriggled to escape his hold. With determination, Minggu thrust his knife into its mouth. He retrieved his weapon after the zombie ceased to move. Minggu, focused, observed his surroundings. As he grasped his knife, a sound caught his attention. His gaze swiftly shifted towards Soo-young. He spotted a zombie closing in on her. Urgently, Minggu yelled for her to target the zombie's legs. The zombie, furious, closed in on Soo-young. Recalling Minggu's instructions, she wielded her weapon. Stepping forward with determination, she raised her left leg. With a swift motion, she swung at the zombie's leg. Her strike connected, causing the zombie to stagger. Soo-young was startled by the outcome. As the zombie stumbled towards her, she swiftly turned to evade it. The zombie regained its balance and lunged towards Soo-young. This caught Minggu's attention. As the zombie closed in on Soo-young, its intentions became clear. Just as it was about to bite Soo-young, it was stopped by a sudden gush of blood. Minggu had intervened, driving his weapon into the zombie's head. He stared intently at the fallen zombie, his expression unwavering. Minggu looked over at Soo-young, still unconscious on the ground. He assured her softly that he had fulfilled his vow to keep her safe. Yet, the danger persisted. In the kitchen, Minggu carefully lowered Soo-young to the floor. They both sat, lost in his own contemplations. Suddenly, loud banging echoed from the door. Minggu's irritation grew as he realized it was the zombies, leaving them no respite. Minggu rose to his feet, scanning the room for a solution. He reasoned that turning the area into a freezer might impede the monsters. With determination, he severed the wires. Removing his coat, he draped it over Soo-young, still unconscious. Informing her of his plan, he urged her to endure until help arrived in the morning. Minggu swung open the kitchen door. Zombies flooded in, their movements frantic. Surveying the scene, he pondered his strategy. Among them, he spotted Chilsung, a former comrade. Despite the grim situation, he resolved to end Chilsung's suffering. With a knife clenched in his teeth, he made a silent vow. Grabbing a rolling cart, he readied himself for combat. As the zombies closed in, his resolve hardened. Pushing the cart forward, he struck 2 of them down. Chilsung evaded the cart and advanced toward Minggu. In a swift motion, Minggu severed Chilsung's head from his body. Chilsung's cries echoed in despair as he met his end. Minggu swiftly dealt with him and turned to face the remaining zombies. Their menacing postures signaled another round of combat. Minggu met their gaze, anticipating their movements. As one lunged forward, he severed its arm with precision. The zombie wailed in agony, realizing its handicap. Adjusting his grip on the knife, Minggu prepared for the next strike. He aimed for the zombie's neck, commanding it to perish. But another zombie lurked behind him, poised to strike. Minggu reacted swiftly, driving his knife into its skull. With 2 threats eliminated, blood pooled on the floor. Sighing with relief, he lit a cigarette, taking a moment's respite. spotting a fellow gang member, he passed the cigarette and bid farewell. Exiting the kitchen, he gazed out the window, pondering the world's fate. He recalled Dr. Kim's warning about the truck, realizing the danger it held. Perhaps even Choi Sung-go was aware of its contents. Frustrated by the lack of information, he checked his phone, only to find it broken. Spotting 3 approaching figures, he squinted to see their uniforms. They wore police attire. Swiftly, he discarded the knife. With relief, he raised his hand in greeting, signaling his presence to the officers. Yet, something seemed off. They weren't policemen at all. They were zombies. Caught by the zombies' attention, they sprinted towards him, closing in fast. Exhausted and disheartened, he couldn't fathom the endless onslaught. How many more zombies lurked in the shadows, he wondered, wearied by the relentless fight. On a sunny day at a construction site, Yubin's friend asked about lunch plans. Both engrossed in work, they decided on stew and rice for lunch. A voice from behind drew their attention, prompting them to turn. Their friend held a letter from Jin-woo, sparking excitement. Eagerly, they urged their friend to open the letter swiftly. As they read, a mix of joy and irritation filled them over Jin-woo's crush on Jenny. They reminisced about Jin-woo's skill as a marksman, evident even in video games. Noticing a new worker slacking off, Yubin approached him about his phone. Startled, the man handed over his phone, denying any mischief. Yubin joked about watching naughty stuff at work, while his friends chimed in. Together, they watched a video of chaos, with zombies attacking humans. Curious, they pondered the unfolding events.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to contribute further, you can now buy me a coffee. Every little bit helps in creating more quality content for you. Just click the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video.